Alright, so I figured I'd come out here, show you guys what I do on range days. So I'm going to start out with doubles. It's a pretty simple drill from Ben Stoeger. I steal a lot of stuff from him because he's probably the best to ever live when it comes to shooting a pistol. I'll show you guys in a minute like what I'm looking for, but it's basically focusing on my grip. I'll get in a little bit more detail about that when I'm actually up there, and then making sure I'm target focused, looking at the spot that I want to see on the target, keeping my vision there, and then noticing what my dot's doing and how it's behaving, and then what that tells me about how I'm shooting. That's basically it. We'll see once we get there. Okay, so for doubles, I normally start out around like 10-ish yards. If you're new, I highly recommend start out at like 5, right? What you're looking for here, if you want to come up to the target. So what a lot of people do, especially when they're new, is they'll put like a black paster here or a piece of electrical tape or whatever, and it gives you a spot to look at. So basically what I'm doing is I'm just staring at that spot. If I back up to about 5 yards, right? So I just stare at the spot that I want to hit, and then what I'm focused on is that spot and noticing what my dot does and feeling my grip. And I'll get into that in just a second, right? So I threw a shot, right? If we go up, this was my second shot, right? And was I really aiming at the target? No. Like I was looking at this area and just trying to land my shots there. This tells me I'm shooting at about a good speed for practice, because it's just enough to get me to throw one. And obviously, like first group of the day, completely cold. I'm not happy that I threw one into the sea, but it's not unexpected. Like the rest of them are about where I want them to be. Probably tensing my right hand just a little bit, which is why it's straight up and down. But that's basically what I'm looking for, right? Is my dot. If I'm looking at just the target, what my dot's going to look like is just a streak. It's just going to be a straight up and down. And then where I want that streak to start and end is I want it to start and end at the spot that I'm looking at. If, say, I am looking at that high A zone area and the streak is like splitting it dead in the middle, what I'm probably doing is I'm tensing my middle finger every time I pull the trigger. And what that does is that dives your shot low. So if you pair that with, like, say, a weak left hand grip or weak hand grip, then that's what's typically going to throw shots low to the left. It's not anticipation. Everybody anticipates, even the best guys in the world, they anticipate. That's not a problem, right? Post-ignition flinch is fine. So normally then I'll back up to 10 yards-ish. This might be a little more than 10. And I'll kind of see how I go there. Normally I'm doing about 3 or 4 pairs, right? To notice these things. Ooh. Bad draw. So I threw another C, I threw it right this time. Again, first double, so it just kind of happens. I'm gonna diagnose that and fix that as we go, but generally, like, not a great group. I'm seeing it kind of really spread out, and I can feel that I'm tensing my middle finger too much, and I'm not doing enough with my left hand, which is pretty characteristic. So the reason I'm backing up to such a distance is that, like, around 20-ish yards. So I want to see where my pace starts to break down. And I'm doing this every time, because as I get better, that distance starts backing out. So right now, for me, where I can shoot predictively, where I don't have to focus on my sights at all, I'm just looking at the spot and shooting, and letting my body do the rest, typically that breaks down past 15. So I'm at about 20. What this means for me is I'm probably going to have to, like, see my dot hit the spot that I'm looking at every time before I pull the trigger. So you'll see the difference in pace for that. I don't have my timer. I'll go to a different target for this since it's a different style of shooting. So that's pretty bad. Like, if we'll go up and see. So this is where I'm looking, right? And once again, first string, I threw one into the C. And if you see that happen twice here as well, like I threw one into the C on my first string at 5, threw one into the C my first string at 10, threw one into the C my first string at like somewhere between 15 and 20. I didn't actually measure it up. But this is horrible. Like, this is not what I want to see. If I'm shooting this slow, I should see like a nice fist-sized group. That's happening because I'm tensing my middle finger. If it was seat belting, like slashing across the target, then that's both a combination of like parasympathetic response with your middle finger and then over tensing with your left. Cool. And then normally after that, I'll back it up like way farther than I'm ever going to shoot in a match, just because it kind of helps build on some of the fundamentals of like basic marksmanship, right? If you can slam A-zone hits at 40 yards, don't spend too much time here, but if you can do it, like, it builds a lot of confidence. So back up way farther than I have any business shooting a pistol, or so most people would think. So I'm not expecting all A's for this. I don't think the range ammo I shoot is really accurate enough to get all A's, even if I was aiming at like a perfect spot. It might be, I'm not a ballistician. I also don't think I'm good enough, right? So I kept not great, right? Probably an area that I need to work on, because I got 3 more C's and a D, so that's pretty freaking terrible. But that's about normally what I start with. I'll use my first 66 rounds because I load up my mags with 22 each. I'll use my first 66 rounds just going through drills like this, diagnosing what I actually need to work on for the day, or focus on really. Yeah, we'll get into the other stuff later. So I finished up doing my doubles at different distances. I'm pretty unhappy with my strong hand grip right now. It's like way worse than last week. One thing I do want to mention with you guys is, if you're going to be like training seriously, I would recommend highly, if you go to the range, don't bring less than 250 rounds. Like, go through at least 250 in a range session. You'll get better doing that than you would like spreading out. Say you can only afford 250 a month. It's better to shoot that 250 in one weekend than to try to spread it out across 4 weekends, whatever. You're just not going to make much progress with less than 250 rounds unless you're brand new, right? And then you can, especially if you're being coached. But what I'm looking at doing now is incorporating some transitions, maybe a little bit of movement, just very slight movement into what I was doing before. So seeing how my grip changes when I start doing transitions, when I start like stepping, just things like that. Simple things, right? I'm not trying to make it overly complicated right away. I'm just trying to ease my way into more advanced things every single range session, right? Okay, so I'm basically just doing doubles to start out here. I'm gonna do doubles on transition, so I'm just gonna bop, 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 bop. Just see how my grip behaves on a transition. I'll do that with a couple pairs, and then I'm gonna move into like a small step movement. Just something nice and simple. See what happens, see what I'm focusing on. Making sure that my eyes are moving to the target and my gun's moving to the eyes. Just the basics, right? So I got 4 alpha and then 4 alpha with 2 line breaks, and I don't like line breaks, right? I'm gonna count them as Charlies. Like, I got lucky. I wasn't doing what I was supposed to be doing with my grip whenever I was transitioning to the right, but coming back to the left when I'm pushing with my right hand, it felt a little better, but kind of dragging it over, I'm over dragging it. So that's something I'm gonna work on once the video ends, you know. And I can just train freely. That's what I'll do. So next up, I do just very simple movement, a little step to the side, So I'm going to start on that middle right target, right, as my left target, and then move on to that right target, just stepping to the right, and then vice versa, right? Start on the very right target, shoot that, step to the left, hit the just left. Just super simple stuff. Start on the left side. You can put a line down if you want. I should probably back up because it's a little easy right now, but you could put a line down if you want. You just step over the line, like it's like a little fault line crossing, but just warm yourself up a little bit. Again, don't spend too much time on it if it's easy. If it's hard for you, keep doing it. But if it's easy, move on to something else or back it up, right? Depends on what you want to work on. Okay, so next up, I'm going to incorporate a little bit more movement. This is going to be like a variation of Track the A-Zone, except I don't have any vision barriers. If you have your own target stands, what you can do is you can set up like a no-shoot and then make it so that you can't see like the middle two targets. You'll see what I mean. I'll explain once I'm actually like doing the drill. But right now I'm just trying to smooth out my movement, the purpose of doing Track the A-Zone with the vision barriers is so that you can pick up your spot on the target right after you cross a vision barrier, so that you're looking for that spot. I'm not going to say I'm amazing at it, but I don't have too much of a problem with it. In the last match I shot, there was a few instances of that, and I got 2 alpha each time, so I'm happy with that. Right, that was like a week ago. So I want to work more on my smoothness during movement, because that's kind of more my trouble area. Being able to just slam 2 alpha while I'm actually moving to another spot. That's what I want to focus on and hammer down. So tailor your training to what your problem areas are. But yeah, I'll show you guys in a minute. So another thing, once you start getting a little bit more dynamic with your training, you start moving more. You can tell I'm a little bit out of breath. I was just doing some dry runs. But I'll run through this dry a couple times to show you guys what the drill is all about, and then I'll run through it live. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw on, let's just label them T1 through 4 from left to right. So I'm going to draw on T1, and then I'm going to go on the move after I hit T1 with 2 rounds, on the move, T3, T2, and then power shuffle over so that I'm in line with T4, slam 2 rounds into T4, right? And then I'm going to go just backwards. T4, and then 2, 3, power shuffle over, hit T1. If you're going to do this with vision barriers, the way that you should set them up is so that wherever you're starting, you can't see the middle position, right? Either of the middle targets, so that as you start moving, you have to cross a vision barrier to pick them up. I don't have any right now. It's also not something that I'm like crazy about working on at the moment. It's not a problem area, so I'm just going to work on the movement and being more fluid and not having my grip change after or during a movement. So I'll run through it dry going both ways, and then I'll load up the gun and then run through it live. Okay. I'm gripping a little too tight, especially right after that power shuffle. So I'm going to pay attention to see if that keeps happening. And I'm going to try to fix it. Yeah, it was bad. Definitely was gripping way too tight after the power shuffle. And you can see, like, there's the necessity for the power shuffle really shows itself once you have the vision barriers, because you're really not going to be able to see that last target once you're engaging those middle 2. So you want to get to the next position as fast as possible. A lot of times, like if I have freestanding like target stands, ones that I can nail down, I'll put a little bit more gap between the middle targets and then the outer targets so that I have to move more. But this is what I got for now. Yeah, I'm just gonna keep hammering this, and then I'll probably pick it up at further distances. See how my grip changes as I go back. See how my dot behaves, that type of stuff. So I just did all my movement stuff, got aggressive. I noticed I was starting to throw some shots like kind of high. My follow-up shot on the last target was trending kind of high, so I kind of fixed that. I'll probably check on that later next week, and maybe basically what was happening is after the power shuffle, my left hand was just letting go. So I'm going to try to drill that in dry fire and then see where it's at next week. But when I normally finish out, this is my last 66 rounds. So I do 4 rounds of 66, just what my mags hold. And in the last round, I'll kind of like hammer down some problem areas, which for me right now is just doubles. Like, my doubles suck today. They were horrible. Last week, they were great, but my movement sucked. This week, movement wasn't so bad. I was able to hit 2 alpha like relatively consistently, except for that last target. And then I even got that worked out pretty well. So yeah, I just gotta hammer doubles, especially at distance, right? And just see what that looks like. Yeah, I mean, that's basically it. That's how I structure it. I kind of tailor it as I go to whatever problem areas I'm having. But there's a general pattern of like first few mags are fundamentals. The next few are fundamentals applied to like minimally advanced areas, like very slight movements, transitions, stuff like that. You can get longer transitions into it too. Sometimes if my long transitions are really bad, I'll do a designated target drill. I'll set up a piece of steel, and then I'll have targets at varying distances. Maybe throw some no-shoots up on them, and I'll like ring the steel, go to another target, you know, slam 2, go to the steel, go to another target, and just pop back and forth if I really need to work transitions. The big thing with that, right, you're not trying to push your gun, right? You're just looking to your target and letting your body move your gun to it. And that's all transitions. You shouldn't be trying to force it. The minute you try to force it, your gun overshoots almost every single time, right? If you have a really long transition, like you're going from here all the way to over here, maybe push the initial and then let it kind of just slow down, let your body do the work, right? Let your body just bring the gun to your eyes. Everything with shooting is just vision based. That's kind of the key to it, is just focus on your vision, like have a good grip, have good fundamentals, and then the rest kind of falls into place. As you get better, you start getting really quick on the diagnosis, but that's really what your first kind of 2 rounds of shooting should be, is just diagnosing like, what do I really need to work on today, slam some movement, get some more like advanced stuff in there, and then at the end, wrapping it up, go back into like whatever your problem area was, hammer it, absolutely like crush that problem area. That's about it. I'm about to finish up, just do some doubles, basically what I did in that first clip of me shooting. I'm just going to do that at different distances and hammer down, not tensing my strong hand, because I'm for some reason having a massive problem with that today. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Appreciate it.